I'm Cary Jack, and this is Win the Day with James Whittaker.
You're listening to Win the Day with James Whittaker.
What we do in life echoes in eternity.
Broadcasting from Los Angeles, California. Here's your host, James Whittaker.
Let's go.
Hey winners, welcome back to Win the Day. The quote for this episode comes from Confucius and says, "Choose a job you love and you'll never have to work another day in your life." Cary Jack is the founder of The Happy Hustle, a top-ranked podcast and movement dedicated to helping people achieve balance, freedom, and purpose. After burning out as a tech entrepreneur, Cary made a radical shift, cutting his work hours by 80% while actually boosting his income. Now, through his best-selling book, Wilderness Masterminds, and global stage presence, Cary is showing people how to align their work with their well-being. He's also a proud husband and father, so we'll see how parenthood has put his happy hustle philosophy through the ultimate stress test. In this episode, we're going to talk about the more disease and how to fill yourself with gratitude, what limiting beliefs are holding you back from living the life you want, why energy and health are your ultimate performance levers, and how to bring more happiness into each and every day. Before we begin, the right bit of inspiration can completely change the trajectory of someone's life, so there's a friend or loved one out there who needs to hear this episode or could use some help to win the day. Share it with them right now. All right, let's win the day with my good mate, Cary Jack. Cary, great to see you. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
James, honor, brother.
I want to acknowledge you first of all. You and I have known each other, I feel like, for only a little bit of a short time, but we've become such close friends in that period.
Yep.
You're someone who just wants to know what other people are up to, and you're so generous with your time and everything else. So thanks so much for everything you do.
Yeah, brother. Same to you. I feel like we became fast friends.
Yes.
Our buddy Garrett Gunderson connected us. Shout out to him. Stud of a human. And yeah, just stoked to deepen our bond.
Yeah, absolutely. So Cary has flown in this morning from the wilderness of Montana.
Yeah.
He's here in Los Angeles, so he's not one for the city, but this is great. I feel like it's going to set the foundation for all the cool stuff we'll talk about today. To kick things off, is there a story of struggle or success from when you were younger that helped put you on the path you ultimately went down?
Well, a quick one would be I went into the wilderness, of course, we'll go there, with my dad and his good buddy. We had 6 pack horses and we each rode 3 horses, and we were going in Yellowstone style, where you bring horses with a bunch of your gear and you camp out for weeks on end. And, you know, we were deep in the wilderness, and a grizzly bear actually came into our camp in the middle of the night and spooked all the horses. So they all broke through what we had them in, which was, they call it a hot fence, kind of like an electrical fence. I woke up, crack of dawn. It was basically still dark, and my dad said, "Go get the horses." And I was like, here I am, maybe, I don't know, 15 or so. I start tearing off down the trail, and I only had one halter, which is like one leash to catch, 5 horses. It's kind of tough. Nonetheless, I took off down the trail. I shit you not, saw a mountain lion on the trail running, jumped over a snake. It seemed like a movie. I'm like in the middle of the wilderness running after these horses. I finally get to the trail, and I was basically at odds ends with these horses who were just running circles around me. And I ended up, attempting to shoo them all into a gully to catch them all at the same time. And I learned a valuable lesson that day, which is when you focus on too many things at once, you don't achieve any of them. And I then changed my strategy and decided, you know what, I'm going to pick one horse at a time. So I got the lead horse, Zane, then Dixie, then Dot. And I just went down and one at a time, cornering each one. And it taught me this valuable lesson of, one, cowboy up and just grit through it with adversity, because, anything in life worth doing probably isn't going to be easy. And 2, you have to focus on one thing at a time.
Interesting. I love that. It's like a scene from the Jungle Book.
Yeah,
that's what I'm picturing.
The Montana Jungle Book. Yeah, exactly.
So you grew up with the Florida side and you grew up with the Montana side. Sort of an interesting dichotomy there.
Yeah, it was very much. My mom lived in Florida, kind of surf, skate, beach life in Sarasota. And then my dad had a ranch in Red Lodge, Montana. So it was like camping, fishing, hunting, hiking, cowboy stuff, and very grateful for the 2 geographic locations and the balance between the both. Plenty of drama in between with a divorced household and all the things that come with that, but very grateful for that split.
Yeah, so the move to the big city for you to sort of try your hand in the professional world, how was that journey, that transition to big city life?
Well, it was Not for me. I do say I'm grateful people live in the city. That way the country's not too crowded. Hence LA here. I'm like, good for y'all. But I will say, yeah, I was grinding like a dog in New York City, chasing the dream, the startup founder mode where I wanted to have all the things society deems important, power, success, status, money, toys. And I was on this trajectory, grinding like a dog in New York City, literally working 100+ hour weeks and getting roughly 4 or 5 hours a night of sleep, and sacrificing my faith and my fitness and my fun and my fulfillment and all the F words for that matter. And I was just working. And that's where I actually burnt out in my tech company.
Was there a particularly dark day that made you realize this path is completely unsustainable?
Many, but it was this rinse and repeat of this unsustainable schedule. And it specifically came to a head. We just, we were faking it till we make it. My brother and I say we, but my brother, business partner, and best friend, all the same human, shout out to Grant. And we built this algorithm that quantified feedback, and it had a lot of merit. We had this 5-year exit trajectory, and we had partnerships with Microsoft and IBM on the table, and multiple 7-figure VC funding deals. And it came to a head where we were literally sitting at this dump of an apartment in Queens, New York, where we were sharing a bed, a king-size bed. 2 grown men just shared a bed.
Living the dream.
Yeah, living the dream, as they say. And we'd wake up from sharing a bed to put on our fancy suits. We had like one each, and then we'd get after it. But the point is, it came to a head with this paperwork that was like, if we're going to accept, over 7 figures in funding, they want to know you're in it to win it. And rightfully so. But we basically both just burst into tears reviewing this paperwork, because we're like, this just feels so not us, so misaligned. And at the end of the day, we ripped up the paperwork. We said no to the partnerships, no to the funding deals. I moved to Bangkok, Thailand for about a year to figure out a better way to work and live in alignment. And that's largely where the Happy Hustle was born.
Yeah, tell us about that sort of the origins of Happy Hustle and that life in Thailand.
Well, have you been to Thailand?
I have. It was a long, long time ago. Yeah. So I don't really remember it. It's a very popular place for Australians.
Yeah, it's a great place. I mean, they call it the land of the smiles. It's beautiful. And what I realized is you can have your cake and eat it too. You can put the happy in your hustle. You just have to get clarity and be intentional with your time. And for me, I broke down, okay, what are the big areas of life that I want to focus on and ultimately crush, right? And I broke it down into these 10 different areas of life. We call it the soul mapping system. I wrote the book about it. It's the whole framework. It's your soul's map to the blissfully balanced promised land. And that's really what I focused on over there. And I also was starting to make some money online. So I was like, whoa, I can have this $400 a month penthouse with an infinity pool in Bangkok, Thailand. I can eat a great meal for $2 to $4 a day. And I can make money online and serve others. And I was like, there's a better way to do this thing called life in this modern era. And so that's, the genesis of the Happy Hustle.
Yeah. So you were in Bangkok, you said?
Yeah.
So that's a fairly polluted city. Away from your sort of roots in Montana, how did you feel in that sort of environment where you couldn't have access to a nice, healthy environment?
Well, I did travel a lot. Yeah, I did travel a lot. I was going, went to Cambodia and Singapore and Bali and Vietnam and just all over Southeast Asia. It was cool to experience that culture over there. And they have, parks, and it's, fairly, yes, crowded and polluted city, to your point. But it is also something that felt fresh, and the novelty of the experience. I think I just sacrificed that part of nature for the time being.
You talk about the 3 types of freedom that someone can have. Does someone need all 3 freedoms, or how do they get clear on what freedom is most urgent for them in the moment?
Yeah, to be a happy hustler, I believe you need all 3 freedoms, which are creative freedom, time freedom, and financial freedom. And everybody, I think, watching and listening to this right now can relate to aspiring to having all 3 freedoms. And I think a lot of people that I was friends with or in the same circles or in the same masterminds had financial freedom, but I realized they didn't have the other 2. And so for me, it was, all right, well, how can I actually put the happy in my hustle while still having all these three freedoms, while still make a positive impact and infusing, again, passion and purpose into my everyday existence.
Mm-hmm. So for some, I know you do a lot of work with entrepreneurs, but for someone who's in the corporate world, they're working for someone else, they're an employee for a big company. How are they able to do things like get creative freedom? Are they able to find it in the work, or do you teach them that they should go and start their own business or side hustle?
Typically the latter. Yeah. If you want ultimate freedom, you need to be your own boss. You'll never have time freedom. You might be able to get some creative freedom, but like if you have a boss or someone you have to report to, even the CEO of a major company doesn't have time freedom, or none that I know. And it's not the life that I want to live. I'd rather work my 20-hour-a-week schedule and be with my little son, Kaizen, go, fly fishing when I want, hang with my wife and go hiking, whatever it is, on my schedule, and maybe make less money. And that's where the more disease comes in, but make less money or, not have as grandiose of an impact as maybe, someone who wants to be the GOAT of their industry aspires to have, because to achieve true greatness, you have to sacrifice, no question. So I think there's a way to achieve an amazing life, but not sacrifice your soul in the process.
I want to sort of dive into that in a bit more detail. Say we've got someone who might have a comfortable corporate job. They might be super busy, obviously. They might be earning 200, 300, 400 grand a year, maybe even more. They're not sure what they would want to do in terms of what that creative freedom looks like. Obviously, if you're getting remunerated, if you're making money, you need to be providing value to someone. How do they get clear on what that purpose or that solution or that offering might actually be, so they can sort of weigh up the pros and cons of, yes, I'm stressed, yes, I'm feeling burnout, but it's providing my family and I a lot of opportunity to be able to do things like a holiday once a year, maybe put them in good schools, all of that fun stuff, versus, yes, I have complete creative freedom, but I have an empty calendar. I have a full, 110% responsibility over every single decision, and everything is on me. Because when you have a business, I know it's a bit different if you have an online business, but if you have an in-person business that requires things like rent to be paid, you might be on, you're on the hook for that every single month, no matter what's going on. And that can obviously put your family at risk financially. So how does someone get a bit clear on whether or not they should make the move and what that move might actually look like?
Yeah, I mean, I know Tony Robbins talks about burn the boats. And I mean, to be fair, I think there's a time and place for that. But for most the people that you're describing right now, I don't think that's the move. I think you moonlight, you create a side hustle, you do it in your off hours. And yeah, it's going to be hard to get it off the ground and rolling. However, the juice is worth the squeeze, my friend. So make it happen. There's an interesting statistic that 2 out of every 3 employees are said to be disengaged and actively unhappy in their work, from Gallup's State of the Global Workplace study, which is kind of crazy to think about. But if you're out there and you're like, what, I do want to do something different. Maybe I want to be my own boss. Maybe I want to be an entrepreneur. My recommendation would be to get clear on these 4 questions. These are from my buddies Rory and AJ Vaden. Shout out to them. They're amazing humans, and they have a company called Brand Builders Group that I went through their whole process on how to create, grow, and monetize a personal brand business. And the 4 questions to clarity are this. 1, what is the one-word problem that you feel called to solve? It's very difficult to distill it in one word, but when you do, it's beautiful. And for us at the Happy Hustle, we solve the one-word problem of imbalance. 2, who exactly do you feel called to solve that problem for? So if you're solving problems for people that you don't like or want to be around, you ain't going to be happy hustling, and I found that out myself. So for us, I was like, well, I want to serve high-performing, heart-centered, badass entrepreneurs who are really infusing passion and purpose to make a positive impact, right? And then you got to think about 3, what is your uniqueness and how can you exploit that in the service of others? What's different about you? Our stuff, what's our actual catalyst, our uniqueness is alignment, pure alignment. How do you crush it personally and professionally? the definition of the happy hustle is how do you systematically harmonize ambition and well-being? So that's our uniqueness, is finding that true alignment, right? And then 4, what is your primary revenue stream? So you get clarity on those 3 prior questions. And then the 4th is, well, how do I make money doing this thing, right? So if you lean into that system, again, shout out to BBG and Rory and AJ, that can help provide the clarity if you're out there seeking something else.
And after you're clear on that, what's the next step? What do they teach you the next step is from there once you've got those 4 questions dialed in?
Yeah, I mean, then you get to work.
Is it like minimum viable product type thing? You get out there, get some feedback, you refine, and then...
Typically, you do it for free. Yeah, typically, if you're out there and you're like, I want to be a consultant for the thing that I'm doing in the corporate world, but I want to branch off and do my own thing, or, whatever it is. Typically, you go change someone's life with that service or product that you're looking to bring to market. And then you get testimonials and you leverage those testimonials. And that, my friend, is, I think, the best form of marketing. A lot of people are in this certification craze, where, they've been to every life certification course, or heck, even speaking to Tony Robbins, I know friends of mine who've been to every Tony Robbins event. Many of them are broke as a joke. And it's because testimonials trump certifications every day of the week. So change someone's life and watch your business grow.
I've seen some people wanting to spend thousands of dollars, on getting a certification. And it's like, you have had real world transformation for some incredible people. Share those stories. Lean in more with that. It's so much better, isn't it, than saying, yes, let me pay you another $5,000 for some certification. No one cares what, I don't have any of my degrees on the wall. No. And I don't care about them.
No.
I care about the people I'm able to help and the impact I'm going to have from now on.
Yeah.
So there's this more disease, and I think the greatest human feeling probably is every day. It's this idea of the grass is always greener.
Yes.
It's always there. It's something that might be impossible to shut off for many people. I think we just have that instinct when maybe we're challenged a little bit. Maybe we see other people on social media feeling like they're crushing it. So we just have, the grass is always greener. So how do you think about those two things, the more disease and the grass is always greener?
Yeah, well, first, the more disease infects us all in some way, shape, or form. And I believe it is the greatest robbery of our joy. I think we all want, in some facet, more money, more love, more followers, more toys, more everything, right? When is enough enough? When can you exercise the power of contentment? When can you find pure gratitude for everything you have and everything you don't, right? That is what we call the more disease. And I believe the cure to the more disease is really measuring yourself backwards against how far you've come, not forwards against this never-ending goalpost. Dan Sullivan, shout out to him for that concept. He really changed my perspective on that, because we achieved the thing and then there's just another thing. You look back on your life and you're like, well, I've achieved all these things, but what was it all for? And I'm sure you and I know many of people who have a lot of the things, but at the end of the day, they wish they had more time with their loved ones, more memories, more experiences, more rich relationships, not riches in the bank.
The acceptance of things like permanence, I think, is really useful. Like if you get married and say, look, I'm in it forever, it's like, cool, we have to figure it out then.
Yeah.
You aren't looking for a parachute. You aren't trying to cover your ass with all of those different things. And I think that idea of the acceptance of permanence enables you to say, cool, what are the actions that I can take now for the short term that realign, recalibrate the momentum that you want for the thing that you have attached permanence to?
Yeah.
I think marriage is such a big one because it defines the relationship that you have with your kids and so many other things too.
So true, man. And yeah, speaking of, the grass is always greener on the other side, that old adage. If you want to win the day, the grass is greener where you fucking water it. All right?
Yes, right.
Don't look at other people's grasses.
Yeah.
Focus on your own grass.
Absolutely. Why do you feel like so many people are getting burnt out at work these days?
I think there's an epidemic that is sweeping the entrepreneurial culture, and it is this grind mentality, the glorification of the grind. Again, I'm all for hustling, the happy hustle. Just 2 parts. You put the happy in your hustle, but hustle's still a part of it. Don't get it twisted. You got to get off your ass and get to work. But I believe you can do so in a balanced manner. And I know balance gets a bad rap, That's why we say the systematic harmonization of ambition and well-being. That means you crush it as an entrepreneur, increasing your income and your impact, but also being an awesome husband, father, man of God, community servant, just holistically happy human, right? And I think right now there's a little bit of an awakening taking place. I think you can see the shift also in the corporate workplace too, where people are looking for more meaning and mission rather than money. They'll take a pay cut to work for a mission-driven company because it feels more aligned with their soul. And I think the days and the glorification of the grind are diminishing a little bit. And now you're seeing this shift in the entrepreneur game. And I think it's necessary because a lot of people burnt out. And especially, I think COVID had a big shift, throughout the pandemic. People were like, whoa, I've been toiling away. Now I'm at home and I can go for a walk and I can be with my family and I don't have to go to the office. And whoa, maybe I should rethink my life and not just clock in 9 to 5 or grind like a dog and make more money. But at the end of the day, it's just going to go back into the pot when we leave this meat suit into whatever's next, right?
Yeah. One of the most powerful things I ever learned was that idea that there's always more work.
Yeah.
It reframes so much. I remember I first heard about that when I was in the corporate world, and it's like, you're racing against something that will never end. You will never win this. There is always more work. So for someone who wants all the different freedoms like we spoke about, they might go and start their own business. But if you don't set up boundaries like you talk about in the framework, we can talk about soul mapping next, but if you go and start your own business, follow that entrepreneurial journey, and you don't have a clear definition and alignment of what happy hustle means to you, I guarantee that you will fall into that trap, as I've fallen into. I'm sure you probably fell into it at some stage as well, and all the people that we know, where there's never any end of the work because there's always something to do. And because everything is on you, everything is done through your mobile phone, so it's constantly with you. And that's where, if you've got kids and you're integrating work with your kids, and that's just a horrible thing to do, you want to ideally have some separation. It's just brutal. So leaving something that is great, even though you might have creative freedom, to only sacrifice time freedom by doing your own thing, which can then sacrifice everything that you have built, like your health and all sorts of things. It's certainly something to be conscious of.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I combat what you just described with the key 3 MVTs. It's just a little internal moniker that I sit down and journal. I know you're big into journaling and, you talk about that with your Win the Day protocols. For me, I write down my key 3 MVTs, my most valuable tasks each and every day. When I accomplish those 3 things, I'm good. I won the day. And that gives me so much peace. I can then enjoy guilt-free downtime. And I think a lot of people feel guilty, especially high performers, when they do fun shit for themselves.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, we have the 3 things to win the day. It's exactly the same as that, the MVTs. I love that. I see so many people who are the ones who can say, yes, you know what, I've finally got it. I am motivated to win the day. Let's go. But they're motivated staring at their computer screen, unsure what to do next. You need to make sure, what are the 3 things that you're going to do to win the day? Get them done first. And oh my God, you can have a bit of peace for the rest of the day. Or you can be creative to focus on whatever you want. You can be more present with your family, knowing that you've already achieved what you set out to accomplish for the day. Yeah.
You nailed it. Peace. I love that word. I'll pay for peace any day of the week. And I'll do whatever it takes to achieve that peace. Truly, that I think is what so many crave. And in one word, if you just can achieve more peace in your day-to-day existence, joy will follow.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be back with the show shortly. I've got a quick question for you. Are you living up to your potential? It's a question that shapes your family, your business, and your overall happiness every single day. That's why I'm excited to introduce the Win the Day quiz. Head over to winthedayquiz.com right now, answer a few thought-provoking questions, and you'll instantly discover how well you're performing relative to your true potential. And here's the exciting part for our Win the Day family. As a fan of the show, you'll receive a personalized and absolutely free action plan to help you win the day every day. Now, just imagine how transformational the results will be when you consistently show up as the best version of yourself in every aspect of your life. Don't miss out. Take the Win the Day quiz now by visiting winthedayquiz.com or click the link in the show notes. All right, let's get back to the show. Let's talk about the SOULMAPPIN Framework. I think that's a really good one. You want to run us through that?
Sure, man. Yeah, SOULMAPPIN Framework is your soul's map to the blissfully balanced promised land. Again, I went through and just scratched my own itch here, man. This was like, all right, well, I need to figure this out for myself because I'm burnt out. I am unhappy, not happy hustling. Let me just preface all this with, I don't claim to be the guru of shit. Okay, just the reporter of like, here's some things that are working for me. Take what works, leave what doesn't. That's my approach to this whole online entrepreneur game, or just anytime I speak or coach or consult or do anything or host our masterminds. I just want you to know that I'm still figuring it out. And I've had a lot of success. I feel very grateful. I feel very blessed for my life, but I still have days and times, and you and I talked about it. We got to practice what we preach every single damn day.
Especially now the kids are in the mix.
Oh, yeah, especially with kids, man. That changes everything, as you know. But the SOULMAPPIN Framework is an operating system for high performers to achieve, again, that systematic harmonization of ambition and well-being. So it's an acronym because, people struggle to keep 8-second attention span, let alone remember 10 things. So you can remember it. Soul's map to the blissfully balanced promised land. And S stands for selfless service. O stands for optimized health. U, unplugged digitally. L, loving relationships. So that's the soul part. And then the mapping part, M, mindful spirituality. A, abundance financially. P, personal development. P, passionate hobbies. I, impactful work. And then N, nature connection. So it's kind of slang, a little apostrophe on the end. There's no G. So that's the SOULMAPPIN high level. And what we do inside the Happy Hustle community, what I wrote about in the book, what we got the Blissful Balancer fridge magnet, is we measure ourselves in each of these 10 different areas, daily, weekly, monthly. And that way, what you measure, you can manage. That old adage that I believe is so damn true.
So you're living in Montana. I'm from Australia. We both absolutely love the outdoors. There is something that's just so reinvigorating around being outside, isn't it? When I first saw the SOULMAPPIN Framework, none of these other ones that I've seen include something like a reference to nature. And for people who are just spending so much time glued to a phone or glued to a computer screen or both the entire day, just the opportunity when you can go outside. Like we had a situation a couple of years back where we went to even somewhere like Disneyland. We spent so much money. There were so many people. And I thought to myself, I would have had much more fun spending $0 and going to the beach with my kids.
Yeah.
Just that experience of getting back to nature makes you feel so good. It's so important.
It's my church.
Yeah.
And it's most people's.
Yeah.
They just need to rewild.
That's exactly what they need to do. If they say that's not for me, I feel like it's a bit like people who hate reading. I think you just haven't found a book that you love yet. You got to go and find a genre that you love. All that stuff is just so important. It's just go and find a type of nature that you really enjoy. Maybe it's the ocean, maybe it's the mountains, maybe it's a walk through a rainforest, whatever it might be. Just breathe it in. Just be present. Just notice what it's like there. So life-changing.
Oh, amen to that, brother. I'll tell you what, most people live the majority of their lives indoors. There's a stat that actually says 99.3% of your time in your life is spent indoors in this modern day era. And that means breathing in recycled air, soaking up toxic blue light, getting beamed by electromagnetic fields. And then we're doom scrolling and caught up in this freaking social media facade of fake gurus and rented Lambos and comparing and despairing. We wonder why our mental health is shit and why people are depressed and anxious and not happy hustling. Well, look what you're doing with your time. And again, this is something I constantly, fall victim to too. I mean, I'll find myself, having a long work day and then going on my phone and checking in on all our stats, our team, our, whatever, our CRMs, everything. And it's like most people, they don't spend but 1% of their lives outdoors these days. And we were designed to be outside. We evolved with nature. We are a part of nature. We don't just observe it. We need to integrate.
Every morning I'm barefoot in the backyard, having a coffee, just as the morning sun comes up, just noticing the change in the trees. It's just beautiful. Just the best way to start the day, or even just going for walks around the neighborhood. Anything you're never too far away from nature.
Yeah.
If you want it. No excuses. Part of the SOULMAPPIN Framework, the one that I struggle with the most, and I want to ask which one you struggle with the most as well, the passionate hobbies for me. Since I became a parent 6.5 years ago, I have 2 kids now. It's so interesting that your hobbies just disappear because the friends that you're with, there's a very good chance that they're getting married and having kids as well, big career responsibilities. And there is no logical time when we say, oh, cool, it's been 2 years or it's been 1 year or it's been 4 years. Now it's time to bring the hobbies back. They just slowly disappear and you wake up one day and it's like, wow, I don't really have any hobbies anymore. Yeah. And I have hobbies. I have things that I love to do like surfing, tennis, golf, but they are so few and far between that I get out for that. So even when I was preparing for our interview today, that was a big reminder for me of like, cool, passionate hobbies are something I need to reconnect with more and more, even if it has to be something that you don't do with other people, because that's an excuse. It's easy to say, look, I don't have anyone to do it with, so I'm not going to do it. Instead of being like, cool, there's no excuse. I'm going to do a passionate hobby. Let me make it happen, even if I have to do it by myself. So what is the one that you struggle with the most, and what is the one that you see most other people struggling with?
Well, yeah, to your point, I do find a lot of high performer, type A, driven, hard charging entrepreneurs and business executives struggle with passionate hobbies. And it's largely because of the reasons you described. But I find that to be one of the most important hobbies. Now, they're all equally important in their own right. But if you're out there right now not doing fun things for yourself and you want more joy in your life, book a hobby twice a week. Just put it on your calendar, treat it like a meeting with your most important client, because it's a meeting with yourself. And for me, like you, I love sports, still, I got my men's league soccer starting up next week. I got to get ready, play center back and get after and chase these little college kids around and elbow them when they run by me because I'm too slow to catch them.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll train martial arts. I'll do my fly fishing sessions in wilderness. I'll go for hikes, horseback riding. I just snowboarding. It just depends. But I prioritize my passionate hobbies like it's a meeting with myself and with some of the most important clients that I have. For the most difficult alignment, I would say, I'll be honest, it's the unplug digitally. Lately, with a son now, a 1-year-old, I find like I need to leverage my time even more effective and efficient, as you know how it goes. Any parents out there know you got to make sure that you're getting your things accomplished that you want to move the needle in your life. So I've found myself more on my devices in my off hours when maybe I would be reading more, or maybe I would be out in nature more, or volunteering or whatnot.
Parenting is such a big one. Parenting is something I want to make sure that we could talk about. Before we do that, I would love to know, and I'm sure the audience would love to know, what's an average day for you in Montana? Like, what does your sort of daily routine look like?
Well, I will say it differs. And let me just touch one thing just on the SOULMAPPIN. For anybody out there who maybe is like, oh, I'm definitely lacking in a couple of these alignments. I know you have a quiz that is so valuable. I've taken it. It's awesome. Highly recommend it if you haven't checked that out. But we have an assessment. If you want to just check it out, it's at thehappyhustle.com. Shameless plug. It's free. But you just go to the assessment. You can see where you're lacking and you just quantify yourself. 5 is you're crushing it, like an A. 1 is like an F. You're failing. I didn't crush school, but I will say I do know the grading scale. Okay. So we related it to that. And so if you're out there that you want to know where you might be misaligned right now, take the assessment and then you'll see where you need to prioritize change accordingly. So that's just a little feather in that cap on the SOULMAPPIN side.
The reason I love little things like assessments is because it gives you the awareness of where you're at the moment. It's easy to say, oh, I'm not sure that I need change, or maybe I think I need change. Do the assessment and you'll see the awareness of what's things specifically that you need to change. And that's what I love so much about all the stuff that you're doing. So an average day in Montana for you, what does that look like? I mean, most of us have probably watched that TV show Yellowstone, and is it really the dream? What's it like up there?
Yeah, I mean, it depends where you're at in Montana. There is a lot of that Yellowstone vibe prevalent. You could go any you probably 30-mile radius and find cowboys and cowgirls working the ranch. I got lots of buddies of mine who are still herding cattle and branding them, cutting, the balls off, cooking them up on the grill and eating them or hunting bear or whatever. Like it's rugged out there in many regards, but it's also a beautiful place because you do have nature's glory. For me personally, I like to blend the two. The business, that I run, fortunately, location independent. I don't have to be anywhere. And I'm grateful for that. I designed it that way. Right. Mm-hmm. And so for me, my Mondays are for clients. I work a half day on Monday, typically calls, whatnot. Second half of Monday, I'll spend with my son, typically take him to the hot springs. We go soak and go to the pool. We got beautiful mineral hot springs waters because right around Yellowstone where we live in Bozeman, there's a lot of thermal activity and a super volcano underneath the ground, which heats a lot of the water in the neighboring area. So we got, 6 or 7 hot springs in an hour's drive. So it's awesome. Tuesday are my content creation days, podcast recordings, social media content, whatnot, and also writing and whatnot, anything under that content, guys. And then Wednesdays are our Happy Hustle Club days. So we host something called the Happy Hustle Club. It's specifically for high-performing, badass, heart-centered, nature-loving male entrepreneurs. And we meet every other Wednesday. We also have, client sessions in that capacity. We do masterminds. We have 8 masterminds this year. In Montana, we have this wilderness mastermind where we take guys in the backcountry wilderness, which you got to come. I'm going to get you out there. If you can't put under the stars, pooping in a hole in the middle of nowhere in Montana. We do a digital detox. We embody all the 10 different alignments when we're out there connecting with nature, selflessly serving each other as well as ourselves and optimizing our health, hiking 10 plus miles into the middle of nowhere. So we do these masterminds. So I focus on, setting those up. We got some in Medellin, Colombia this year, Guatemala. We're doing Africa next year. So we have our community of studs. It's like a family. And that's the day I focus on that. Thursdays is kind of like a miscellaneous pickup day. I keep it real light, and Fridays I take off and we go. I got nature days with my son Kaizen and Kaizen Dad hiking days typically. So that's kind of the rundown of the week.
Yeah, sounds pretty sweet.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I feel pretty blessed. I feel pretty blessed, man.
Yeah, no one's going to argue with that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Now that you're a parent, how did your view of the world change, and how did your role in the world change?
I mean, changes everything. It's no longer about you. It's about this little life that you're cultivating. You know what I realized? Yes, it changes our identity. We become a father or a mother, but it also changes the marriage greatly to the degree that almost can become a detriment if you pour too much into your children and not your spouse. And my wife and I have actually realized that recently, coming up on, call it the 19, 20 month mark of our son and being alive. It took us, I got my ass kicked the first 6 months, man. I was like, whoa, this is fucking tough. Like being a parent, manage businesses and all this stuff, you really got to like reshape everything, especially then just taking care of self and doing the protocols. But it's the most beautiful blessing ever. Like I wouldn't trade it for the world. The dopamine dumps that take place and the oxytocin that's present from when your child says dada or mama or whatever they call you, there's nothing like it. So it's been a learning curve, obviously, as a new father and as a hard-charging, high-performing entrepreneur. But I will say it has elevated my human experience to a whole nother level.
I agree with that 100%. I know there are people out there, I'm a couple of years ahead of you. There are people who are many, many years ahead of me as well. And the moment they just have that, that they can interact more and more. I'm not great with the infants and the newborns, from the moment that they can catch a ball or run and talk a little bit. That's what I love. I think that's when the dads can start to really,
it's true.
We can do our thing. It's so great. Did that force you to evolve any of your frameworks, or did it force you to create any new systems or tools just around how people approach their days or their careers or anything like that?
Surprisingly enough, it didn't. And that's when
That's good. Probably means you set up good frameworks to begin with.
You know what? I honestly, I'll take that as a compliment. And I also thought, okay, probably things are going to have to shift in our whole ethos with the happy hustle, but it's actually made it more relevant than ever. I'll live by the motto, balance equals happiness. Put that on my tombstone. I really do believe it. If you're not balanced and spending time with your loved ones and showing up as the best, again, husband, father, son, brother, man of God, community servant, you are only focused on work and growth and scale and money and success, you're not balanced and your fulfillment is going to suffer. And so our frameworks actually became even more, I think, meaningful throughout this parenting process. And I'm actually creating the Happy Hustle for kids now.
Love it.
So I think the Happy Hustle should be taught in schools, because I didn't learn very much in school about life and how to manage all this stuff that is in it, right? And so this can be an operating system for life. I think it, it's my next big project.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And Win the Day, when I became a parent, it was just amazing to me how much your physical health, your mental health, like these, your marriage can disconnect a bit. This is stuff that happens without you even realizing it. You can wake up one day, a bit like you mentioned there, and it's like, oh my God, like this is where I am. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And then, they say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It's like, oh, if there is some way that people can focus on that. So it forced me to really rethink and shift around a lot of the stuff that I was doing with Win the Day. So, I think it's amazing, all that stuff that you spoke about. For someone who says, I would love to be a happy hustler, I just have too much work to do, not enough time for me to be able to do that. What do you say?
I would assess your priorities. What does success actually mean to you? I don't think enough people actually define it. They oftentimes just acquire the definition of success from others, or from society, or from
social media,
right?
Yeah.
And if you're feeling, again, stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, constantly feeling like you don't have enough time in the day to do all the things, maybe assess, again, your priorities and what does success actually mean.
You have spent so much time around really high-level entrepreneurs, some of the top performers on the entire planet. What have you learned from them in terms of lessons that they've taught you or secrets they have that they didn't know about? What have you learned from the most successful people in the world?
Well, yeah, I've been very fortunate with my network, like so grateful. I've learned a ton from some of the coolest and most successful people in our industries. And one lesson that is actually, I think, kind of counterintuitive is we were coaching Olympic gold medal athletes and Stanley Cup winners, badass pro hockey players. You guys would know them if I name drop them. They're like the GOATs. They had all these wearable devices, because I ran a biohacking company prior to the Happy Hustle. It was, before ice baths were cool, we were doing them. And we had Wim Hof on the podcast that we were running before anyone knew who the heck he was, And I realized that all these people are so focused on wearable technology. The Aura ring, no offense, or, the Whoop strap, or all this shit. I think it has a time and place, yes. But what I realized when coaching these high-performing Olympic gold medal athletes is one call specifically resonates. He woke up and we had a morning call and he said, oh shit, I got a 68 on my sleep score. I'm going to have a terrible day. And I was like, wow, that right there is the recipe to have a terrible day. When you want to win the day, you got to decide that you're going to win the day. And so I think a lot of people now, with this inundation of technology and AI and all these wearable devices, are reliant on this data to dictate their happiness and ultimately their behavior and their reality. And for me, I realized that I rather go by how I feel intuitively as a soul being and listen to my body, listen to my intuition more than wearable technology. So that was one very prominent lesson that might be a little counterintuitive.
So good. I'm with you 100%. The best wearable tech is your mind. It's the brain you already have that you're wearing anyway.
Yeah.
The only piece of wearable tech I have, and again, I love the idea of biohacking. I love doing all of these different things. But the first and most important thing I do is I wake up, I say, no matter what, I'm going to win the day. If I have to start my day by looking at something that told me I'm tired, I'm going to be grumpy, and I'm going to have a crappy day, that is the worst possible way that you can have to start the day. So I think using these things as data points to help you improve and make some better decisions. But yeah, oh my God, it's just, it's so frustrating. I would much rather an operating system that says no matter how I feel, no matter how much sleep I have a set of rituals that enables me to show up the way I want to show up for the people who depend on me most.
Amen.
That's it. Yeah.
Preach,
exactly.
brother.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's true though. And I think now, just to your point, to double click on it, it is going to become even worse. We're in 2025, but technology is moving at such an exponential rate. AI is such a powerful tool. And yes, I see it as a tool. And you need to make sure, in my opinion, that you are using tech, not letting it use you. And having proper barriers, having proper rituals, having discipline in order to adhere those barriers and rituals, and not being reliant on this tech, and getting back to more God-made things. That's what my buddy Ryan Levesque just recently said to me, and it was so powerful. He was like, spend more time with God-made things and less time with man-made things. And I believe that will lead to more joy and happiness.
100%. Turning off notifications or spending more time away from... So I just had someone I saw the other day whose just phone was going off constantly. And I was like, what is... We were together for a long period of time. And I was like, what are these all notifications that you're getting? And they didn't realize that you could turn off those notifications from Facebook and Instagram and everything else. And I was like, it's just such a, you're going through life, just your day, just distracted by all of these different things that occupy your attention. It's horrible. That's why I don't like the idea of wearable tech so much, apart from the things that we mentioned, is I don't want another device near me that gives me notification. I don't even want my phone. I mean, first of all, yes, I'm addicted to my phone, but I don't want anything else that's going to give me notification. I'm looking to throw my current thing that gives me notification into the ocean, so I never need to worry about it again.
Same.
Well, before we move into the rocket round, last question. On your best day, what's an affirmation that you would write on a flashcard that you could show yourself on your worst day?
Well, I actually have a list of affirmations that I say every day, twice a day. But one that reigns supreme, at least, is, I just say I'm the world's greatest happy hustler. On my best day or my worst day, I do my best to embody that. But I do believe affirmations are so powerful. And I have a list, a whole protocol, actually, will you, that I go through every morning. I am focused and disciplined. I am the world's greatest happy hustler. I am a lifestyle entrepreneur who profits $1 million every single month, working less than 20 hours per week. I'm a godly husband who has an amazing, passionate, intimate marriage with his wife, Steph. I am a godly father who is a provider, protector, and professor to his son, Kaizen. I am a godly servant who gives to causes and people and things that I believe in, and I go through my list. I have more, but it's tuning my subconscious brain. And I believe you have to embody your future self in order to actually become it.
Do you do that with your eyes open, eyes closed, looking in the mirror, outside? Like, tell us more about what the sort of context is when you're doing that.
Yeah, I'll do it. Both. Specifically, I like to do it in the steam room at my at the hot springs that I have a membership to. It's the coolest place ever. I'll take you there.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
But yeah, I'll do it after meditating or during meditation, will you? And if I don't have time to go to the steam room that day, I'll do it wherever I got to do it. Because that's the thing about rituals and, anything that you talk about to win the day, you need to have the discipline to just get her done sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's move to the Win the Day Rocket Round. 10 questions for some quick answers. You up for this one, Cary?
Let's go.
Number 1, what quote inspires you the most?
The secret to living is giving.
Love it. Number 2, morning coffee or evening wine?
Morning coffee.
Number 3, what's one bit of advice you would give your 18-year-old self?
I was a fuck up in teens. I was going down the wrong path, so it would be stop doing illegal shit.
We'll do a separate podcast on all the illegal things you did back in the day.
Oh, yeah, for real.
Number 4, what book do you gift the most, or what book contributed most to the mindset you have today?
2 books. The Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. I actually got that tattooed on my arms, the peaceful side of me and the warrior side. And then The Compound Effect by Dan Hardy.
Yeah. Tell us more about The Peaceful Warrior. Was there a particular lesson from that you still remember?
That's a phenomenal book. I think I was just too much into my warrior. There's two sides of all of us, the yin and yang. I'm wearing yin yang on my neck because I love the harmony of the two. And, growing up, I was into martial arts and Kung Fu and Tai Chi. I actually have a Taoist priest, Master Chen is his name, from the Wudong Mountains in China where The Karate Kid is filmed. And, he's legit. So he taught me more the Taoist way of life, and The Peaceful Warrior embodied a lot of those principles, but put it into practical words. And so I was going down the wrong path early on. I know this is a rock around, but nonetheless, I became actually friends with Dan Millman and built a relationship. And I highly recommend that book.
Yeah, incredible. Number 5, was there a vulnerability you once hid within that became your superpower?
I think just being unapologetically myself. I fully realize I, as my wife says, look like a wannabe 70s porn star right now, mixed with Joe Dirt. And I'm like, babe, I don't know how to take that. That doesn't seem like a compliment.
Yeah, you married it, yeah.
Yeah, just freaking be you, unapologetically so.
Great advice. Number 6, what's one thing you've learned about failure?
That it's a prerequisite for success.
Number 7, if you could sit on a park bench and have a conversation with someone alive or dead, who would it be?
I think I'd be with Richard Branson. He seems like the ultimate happy hustler. I got friends I'm 1 degree away. I might go to his island with my buddy Yannick.
I was going to say park bench on Necker Island. It sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's next year. I might actually go kick it with him. But he seems like a stud happy hustler that I'd like to have a chat with.
Yeah. Number 8, what tool or resource best helps you run your life or your business?
Shameless plug, that damn Blissful Balancer. It took me a while to create it. It's pretty simple. You got it. It's a whiteboard fridge magnet, but most people are going in their fridge 3 times a day. So get off your screens, get analog, something that you can track your habits. It's a great tool.
Number 9, share one thing on your bucket list.
Ooh, well, I feel like it's a little cliche, but I feel called to do an Ironman in Hawaii some point in my life just to push myself.
Amazing.
Yeah. Have you done one?
I have not, but I know that's brutal. That's next level challenge. That's awesome.
I feel like I should probably do that.
Yeah. Epic. Last question, number 10. What's one thing you do to win the day?
One thing I do to win the day is decide to win the day, right? It's, as my wife calls it, be a delusional optimist at times, but I choose glass half full over glass half empty and just operate with outgoing optimism. That's just one thing to win the day that I would highly recommend. Choose to be an optimist over a pessimist.
Mm-hmm. There's a misconception that you sort of just do something once and that's going to carry you through for the rest of your life, but it's a daily recommitment, isn't it? Every single day, who do I want to be? How am I going to show up? What are the things I want to focus on? Right. If you can do that, the momentum that you build is massive, and then eventually you benefit from the compound interest on those returns.
Amen. Yeah, you know it. I mean, it really is a superpower.
Yeah.
The decision, because everything we want in this life happens between the ears first.
Yeah.
And you have to decide what you want and, again, become that version of yourself that can achieve it.
Yeah. You got no idea. Sorry, you can't change yesterday. You got no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. All we can do is focus on today.
That's it, baby. Yeah. That's why we got to put the happy in our hustle today.
Exactly.
Which we are.
Happy hustle and win the day, the ultimate combination.
Yes.
I love it, brother. Well, there are a bunch of ways to connect with Cary, and we'll link to all of these in the show notes. You can follow him on Instagram at Cary Jack. Visit his website, caryjack.com, where you can also take the assessment and grab a copy of his book, The Happy Hustle, at thehappyhustle.com/book. Again, all that and more will link in the show notes. Cary, thank you, my friend. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Honored to be here, brother. Thank you all. Peace and love, everybody.
Thanks for joining me on another episode of the Win the Day podcast. We want to hear your thoughts on what we covered today, so drop a comment on the YouTube version of this episode with your favorite takeaway, any questions you have, or what actions you'll be taking as a result of what was shared in this episode. And if you found value in the Win the Day podcast, leave a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You'll find a link to both of those in the show notes. It'll only take you a few seconds, and more ratings really helps other people discover the show so they can get the mindset upgrade they need, and we can bring more winners into the Win the Day movement. That's all for this episode. Get out there and win the day. Until next time, onwards and upwards, always.